Okay, welcome to the first ever AMA with my CEO. I don't know how I convinced him to do this, but here we are. And we got a ton of questions submitted from all of you. So thank you all for that. We are super excited about this event. We realized we scheduled it for 45 minutes. However, based on the number of questions that we got, we will stay to the top of the hour. So if you do drop off for any reason, totally understand. But yeah, this is super exciting for us to bring this to life. And I know as we're waiting for people to thank you, Sarah. Yeah, this is a great marketing win. Whenever you can get your CEO involved in any events, I think it's always great. So yeah, as we're letting people in here, I actually wanted to, before we kind of dive in and explain what the event is. I'm Arthur. I'm head of community and customer marketing here. I've actually only been here at Storylane for 5 months. But Nolan, you said something around the product philosophy that I thought was so interesting, and how you kind of like built Storylane through the voice of customer, and how you look at some different things. So would love for you to maybe start off with yeah, how you kind of think about the product philosophy and everything we build here at Storyline.
Definitely. Nice to see you all here today. As Arthur said, this is probably after a while doing this session. So yeah, very excited to share a little bit more about like what we are building, and specifically around sales workflows and how we think about building product itself. So for everybody who's joining in, so I'm Nalan, co-founder and CEO of Storylane. So very excited to talk about it. So Storylane, we started like 4 or 5 years back, and then we are product thinkers in general. So I'm a product thinker myself. So we look at it from that lens, pretty much everything what we're building, right? And be it today with AI, everybody is aware like how incredibly fast it is to build things. One of the most important thing for me was it's not just about building and shipping things, but we want to make sure they are impactful to our customers. A lot of times we miss that and we focus a lot on shipping. So this is a great opportunity for me or for the team itself for Storyline to connect quickly. And we do plan to do this a lot more so that we get that feedback and then we are able to build the right things to create that impact for you all. So when I talk about impact, it's more about looking at, hey, what your current workflow looks like today and some of the complexities that are there and how we are able to change that, right, in terms of speed, ease of use, whatever that may be, how we're able to make an impact there in terms of the workflow itself. That's how we start looking at all things that we're building in the product itself, and then think about use case from marketing or sales. We started getting those kind of questions about like, hey, how do we see Storyline being used by an AE more effectively, by an SDR, or by a pre-sales person itself. So a lot of these things that comes into the workflow. So what we are building is around like how do we change those workflows so that you can have more impact itself. That's how we start looking at it, and we have a lot of things planned to build out as well this year. With the way things move fast in AI, so we have rethought completely about how we build roadmaps itself. We start iterating every 2 months, so things change incredibly fast. So that's how we started, building, and that's our philosophy been.
Yeah, no, I saw Luca in the chat here. It's crazy the amount that we've been able to ship even in my short time here. I'm going to get into everything we're going to cover here, but I know almost the number one question I think why a lot of people join this is where can Storylane be used across the GTM function? I know there's multiple use cases, so maybe if you want to just share a little bit around that, Nolan, to get us started, that'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. That's one of my favorite questions that people ask. Hey, where can it be used? I mean, I always feel like two things, right? We're doing great because the Storyline, they can see it's useful in every places. That's fantastic. And also, whenever the question comes, I feel like we need a lot more education of how we are doing it and how we are solving it in the product. So I love to go ahead and share my screen, and it's much easier to visualize to start seeing it. And again, this conversation is going to be a little bit more tactical. So it's not just me talking. We're going to start sharing our screen and start doing it as well, showing things. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, hopefully you should be able to see my screen over here. And what I like to start with is like in a simple way to think about what are the three products that we offer first, right? So Storyline, we offer three products: demos, you all will be familiar. Hubs. Hubs are, think of it like a deal room where you can bring in multiple demos, and then videos, be it your case studies, materials, and everything together. And then the third product that we launched is recently, last few weeks back, is RepX. It's a conversational agent that can actually qualify your leads itself that are coming onto your website and drive them to the sales. So it's basically more about like, how do I, instead of buyers don't want to talk to sales right away. So right, they're very, very sophisticated today in the market. So you want to give them a sneak peek of the product, give them an ability to have a conversation with someone, and also understand what are the questions they're looking for. So those are the three products that we offer. And within the demos, we have many different ways people use demos itself. So I'm going to jump to the next one. And don't worry, I'm not going to spend too much time on slides. We're going to get tactical around it, but this is something that I want to make sure like everybody in the webinar is able to see it and understand what we across how Storylane is used. There are four broad areas. The top two, I think you will see over here, is the marketing. When we started out, you will start seeing like Storyline was started a lot with marketing. A lot of people started using it on website conversions, events, conferences, campaigns, and product releases. And then sales is something that we started expanding into after the first year more and more. So top of the funnel, definitely a lot of use cases, how people started using. And within sales, you will start seeing like, be it an SDR, an AE, pre-sales, or a sales leader, they all see a value. So a few things to highlight over here would be like how you do it in outbound, you can send some demos. Sometimes you will see like, hey, somebody wants to get on a live call to talk to your sales rep. And before that live call, you are able to send in a demo of what your product is all about to give them a sneak peek of, so that they understand what your product is offering before they get on a call. In live calls, you will see you have a rep that needs to be trained, get up and running quickly. They have a clear transcripts of what needs to be used. And that's where we come in with some sandbox demos as well. Post sales call. Now, how do you get your stakeholders going, right? And there's a follow up of sharing the demos. People don't want to see always the large recording time, 1 hour recording videos. It's good, but the thing is they want to get tactical about like what are the product offers. Of course, it's also used in expansion, partners, resellers. So this is something where we see across the board how Storyline is used in the GTM. There are other use cases we'll dive in separately, but today we're going to focus a lot more around the sales use case and how I can be effective there itself.
Love it. I see we already have some solutions engineers joining in the chat. So yeah, we got a lot for you that we're about to get tactical. Just to explain how we kind of got to this point. So I think we got over 200 questions submitted when we were reaching out to all of our customers, ask them, hey, what do you want to ask our CEO specifically around the sales use case? And what we attempted to do, because all of you came in from different titles, whether it's SDR, AE, SE, sales leadership, sales enablement, we really broke it down by those personas. So we're going to jump into each of those personas. I'm going to change seats, ask Nolan as an SE, as an SDR, how are the different ways we can use it? And then we've grouped a lot of your questions based on themes. So that's what we're going to go through. Now, at the same time, I'm sure as Nolan is speaking, I've already seen the chat light up, which is great. We do have on your right side a Q&A portion. So if you think of a question as Nolan's speaking and going into this, we'd ask that if you could put it in that Q&A piece, that would be great, because I know sometimes the chat can get a little bit messy, but we do have CSMs monitoring the chat. So if you prefer to put your question there, we'll try and keep it. But if you really want it answered in the Q&A, we'll attempt to get to it live. If not, we will make sure that we will get an answer to your questions over the next few days. So yeah, without any further ado, I think the first one, and you're in luck, Ronnie, we are going to be focusing on the SE. So as an SE, my job is to build and enable reps who use the demos, right? So what's the most impactful way, just so we can start to frame it, that someone in an SE role can get the most out of Storyline?
Yeah, great question. As an SE, think of SEs are basically our people who will be building demos in Storyline. We call them the creators. So your role becomes more about like enabling the sales team so that they can effectively use the demos across. So I like to think about, I'm going to pull up something, and then I like to think about in a quick framework. So let me go ahead and share my screen again here. Um, There you go. So the way I look at it is like, as I see, once you start using Storylane, and then I'm assuming you already you should have a plan and map the roles. So here is a simple grid. This may not directly map to your org right away, but it gives you a general blueprint of how we start thinking about it, right? So, for example, you see, as an SC, I have an impact across the site, right? Because you know the product the best, you know exactly what are the capabilities in the product, what a buyer will be looking for at different stages. You are a product thinker in a lot of ways because you solve the problems there. So now you're enabling your different segments of like reps. So let's say we have three over here as an SDR. Maybe you have a growth AE for small mid market, and you have an enterprise AE. Now, at the different stages, I like to simply put a map like this and see like what type of demo and what is the right demo that we need to use so that we can excite the buyers. So think of like a simple case like prospecting, right? When it talks about prospecting, we are completely, it's a demand gen outreach, and SDR should start using a guided demos in the outreach. Be it any outreach tools that you're using, they use it there. If a growth AE is actually a full stack, he is trying to source the leads himself, then what is the best way for them to do? Maybe it's the same guided demos, again, depending on the market. Similarly, for an enterprise AE, you can use a hub. So I'm going to talk a little bit about hub in a minute, about what the hubs are as well. But the idea is you put a grid like this and have understanding of which demo to be used where, right? That's one thing that I would always recommend you do it, so that there is a clear enablement plan of how this could be deployed across your team itself. So as an example, discovery. So maybe in your case, there is a show and tell, right? So you do a discovery there. So you can create like lightweight demos. Storyline has a presenter mode, which we'll talk in a minute, so that you can show this demos directly in live calls itself to do the discovery. Same with an enterprise AE. But early demos, you can run some standard demos with Sandbox, run them with templates in terms of how you can set up templates within Storyline itself. At the end of the day, follow-ups, you send these demos, you track the analytics, and kind of understand what the engagement metrics look at it. So if you need some templates like this, I mean, you should definitely, you can reach out to our CSM. We are going to build out these kind of templates. It's a great way to start and start deploying it into your team itself. That's it.
Amazing. And I know to start getting a little bit more tactical, we've got a lot of SC saying, hey, our product team ships features all the time. How do we kind of maintain all of this in terms of managing managing these demos when our product is being changed so often?
100%. So I'll answer this in two parts. So one, let me get into our editor, right? This is our product. So by the way, if you are seeing something here a little different in terms of user interface as compared to what you see, that's because we are launching. Some of them already have access to this. It's in beta, a new version of our editor, which is just more better, easier, with a lot more capabilities as well. So we're rolling that out as well as we speak, this week and the next week. Now that's why you're seeing something different from what you're used to. So you asked me a question about like how do I manage them? I'll answer it in two parts. One, what is there today and how people do it. And the second is what we're doing, what's coming up later this month as well. So which will be very exciting. So how do people do it today is like, here you can see a bunch of content that is captured. Again, when we capture content, there are two types in which you can capture, like scraping your pages, HTML, which is like feel look like of your product. And then there's a screen-based and video-based recording, which is great for quick demos and showing top of the funnel, showing them, right? And the limitations there are you can't edit the content. With this, what you're seeing is it's a HTML-based demo that we captured it. Let's say this is just example of an environment. Now, what we recommend is creating kind of tokenizing. So once you create a token, we treat that like a template. Tokens are a great way. It can be a text, it can be date and time, it can be images. But the idea is you're able to repeat it in a way that once you build it, you can start using it. So it's in this case, I want to personalize this. I put in a first name, and maybe in some cases, like a date, right? I want to go ahead and personalize. It's March 12th. It's actually supposed to be April 2nd. So I want to go ahead and create a token for that. And there is a way you can do this using date times or like text only. So for example, here is a date time. I want to insert this. and I can go ahead and insert a datetime token over here. The idea is you're starting to not manage this one off each time, but you're creating ones and tokenizing them so that you can start reusing them every single time quickly, right? That's one, definitely I recommend. If I have some things to be edited, modified, like I want to replace them quickly, there's a quick search and replace, which is basically like, hey, I want to search for the word daily and then replace with trader. So you can go ahead and quickly search, identify all the screens where those are happening, and you will be able to quickly replace them. So you can see it shows up 2 times over here, and I can replace them. The idea is like it's a quick way to edit, modify things. And let's say you have a new screen that was added into your demo. Maybe your product changed, one part of it changed. We don't have them all like together in one place like a demo. These are discrete steps, discrete screens. So you can see all the screens here, which means you can swap them out, replace them as well. That all allows it. So this is how people do this today and how you manage them and edit them. What we are also releasing, which I'm going to go back into, is like we are completely rethinking in terms of how you can modify the same thing with AI completely, right? What I mean by that is, we are so used to building apps through lovables and replets and everything. So where you can prompt and make changes that you want. So for example, here is a new editor that's coming out as well, just for changing your HTML content. So let's say it's the same screen. And hey, I want to change all of these transactions into, maybe I want a restaurant names. All I do is tell Storylane AI, can you just go and update all the transactions names into restaurant names? It starts analyzing, it starts looking at your content, looking at the screens and everything, and it understands, hey, what do I need to change? Maybe this is from the to and from over here is what you're referring to. I'm going to go pull up a restaurant names over here. And what this will do is it'll start looking at it and updating it. In a matter of a couple of minutes, you are able to change big data inside your screens itself. And then like be it tables, be it structures, be it images and everything itself. Now you can see it's already applying changes. And there you go. It applies the changes here. So all of this is done in a very quickly. Now it's your choice to accept it and start editing it itself. This is how we are thinking about it, and this is something that we'll be releasing it sometime in April. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it looks like we're even getting some questions and something around the what we'll be releasing. So I know the final question to for this SC persona. I think a lot of them are very protective over how they create the demos, manage and organize them. What's the best way to do that within Storyline?
Yeah. So one of the things is, hey, I've built all these demos, all the content. I edited them, make them polished, have a great templates. Now, how do I enable my reps to use this effectively? So a lot of them. So for example, I'm going to go back and then open up our dashboard here. So what you will see here is a dashboard. So let's say this is, you're probably very familiar with this one. So where you manage your demos and hubs over here. So what you will see is, first thing is on the top, my team demos, the demos that you built and the demos that are shared with me. So you can share demos across teams. The simplest way to think about it is set up different teams within your organization. Like in this case, I have a sales engineering team, I have a product marketing team, I have an EMEA sales, demand gen, and I have my SDR team. So once you are able to create different team structures and then the right set of members with the right set of permissions, then as an SE, you building all these demos. As a PMM, you've built these demos, and I want to share these demos to someone. So all you have to do is give them the right access and the right permissions. You go ahead and say like, hey, SGR team can get access to this, but they can only view it. They can't edit it. Now that's it. So what this allows you to do is, as an SDR, I have access to demos that you're building right now, and that is perfectly, and you group them and then start sharing them. This is the easiest way I would recommend. Have one place and one source where you're authoring all of these demos and then sharing it across your teams itself there.
Amazing. So I know we got a lot of questions from SEs. If we continue to have them, please put them in the chat or the Q&A section. But we are going to jump now into Storyline for AEs. So this is something that I'm very familiar with. Used to be an AE once upon a time. Juggling multiple deals, selling to different verticals. But if for the AEs watching this, or maybe the sales leaders trying to understand how their AEs can use this, what is the most valuable way an AE can use Storyline today?
So as an AE, there are three places how you would use it, right? Firstly, and I'll show you in a minute. So at least you should start looking at it more like before somebody gets on a live call with you, how you can use Storyline, and then after they get on live call, how do you do the follow up? And the last use case is you can use this also in show and tell in live demos as well, depending on your product and the use cases. So think about like pre-call, right? So somebody books a time with you and they want to chat and come on board. They're qualified at this point. You want to provide enough info about what your product is doing early on so that there is more people showing up and you don't have a drop-off issues. So, for example, we tried this within our Storyline itself. I'm going to show you some quick stats around that. Give me a second. I'm going to share this again real quick. Let me try sharing again. Uh, just a second. The share didn't work this time. There you go. Yep. Awesome. So I'm back to sharing this again here. So the stats I want to show you is like, for example, let's say you have HubSpot. It can be in Marketo. It can be any place. So somebody books a call and then they want to come in and then talk to your sales rep. So what I want to show you is you can set up an automated email sequence. So here's an example of an email. So this is set up in our HubSpot. For example, hey, thanks, you're going to talk to our demo strategist. Here's a couple of things you want to see before you actually going to talk to a strategist. So for example, you can send up like an example of a demo or a hub. This is, we call it a pre-call so that they click through it, they understand what your product is doing. And this is something you can completely automate and set it up inside your workflow. And then once you set this up, if you definitely need help with this setup and everything, please definitely ask us CSM as well. But then once you're able to set up, you can get the analytics and stats. Your rep, before getting on a call, will know exactly if they engage with the demo or not before the live demo itself. So the way for us, the way it performed is you can see 50% of the people actually clicked and viewed the demo of everybody. Like think of everybody who opened the email, 50% of those people definitely engaged and spent a lot of time on these demos before coming on a live call. That gives them a lot of context about what your product is and ask more deeper questions. So this is one use case definitely say pre-call before getting on live with an AE, you send them a demo. The second use case, I think I see is like post call. How do I effectively share this? So the way I look at it is, let's say you go into your environment or you go into your HubSpot. I'm going to pull this up. Let's say I am a contact in my HubSpot, and again, this could be again in Salesforce as well. So, and you just did a call with this particular prospect. With Storylane, you actually have a quick way to click on a Storylane icon and then pull up the right set of demos. So a lot of teams do not use this way. So we have a plugin across many different systems today. Seismic, HighSpots, Salesforce, Gong, Outreach, everywhere, wherever you are sending those emails from HubSpot. So what this allows you to do is quickly click this icon, pull up on the right side, you can see the email is automatically filled out. And hey, I want to send a demo to this prospect. Perfect. And then all you do is like click on this, and immediately it creates a new link that you can simply copy it, and you can go ahead and insert it and send it to them. So let's say I'm using my own HubSpot to create an email draft. Definitely possible. So you can just go ahead and it gets inserted for you automatically itself. So you might have some templates, pull in the templates, and you can send it out. So we make that workflow pretty easy so that you can pull exactly what you want to send as a follow-up. Now, again, you will start getting analytics and in terms of who is engaging, whatnot inside Storylane, and also as an email notification. So one thing you might have noticed here is like every time you view, you get the understanding of who is viewing the demos as well. So you can go in and quickly look at it from the extension itself. Awesome.
Amazing. No, it's great. I think this next call is focused probably, or sorry, this next question is focused more on the kind of live environment, right? So they're asking, how do I keep a click-through tour feeling live and dynamic in a demo without rebuilding it for every single call?
Okay, got it. So I think this goes into like how can I use this in a live calls a little bit around, and also we have capabilities like a presenter. So I'll talk about this in two parts here. So Storylane is not your full live demo. If you're running a live demo for 1 hour, the POC, that's on your environment. Where we shine with the sandbox is the lightweight sandboxes that you can put together and that you can stitch them together and use them in your live calls to show and tell, right? It's like early demo. If you remember, I showed up in the slide where it's like an early demo, you want to run a templated ones, you can use them as well. So for example, let's say I have I want to open up a demo for a particular prospect. I'm going to go back to this prospect again. And then I have my extension. I'm an AE. I have an extension. So I'm not a creator in this demo environment, but I have demos that were shared to me by my SCs. How do I pull this up? Great. So you have this quick access. This is my favorite demos I have. Now I want to present live demos. So here is one that I have that I want to show it up. So quickly, you will see three options here. Open in a presenter mode. Of course, this is for sharing them. When I click on open in a presenter mode, this demo quickly opens in a mode where, as a prospect, as your prospect, you can also have like presenter notes launched. So I have a presenter notes. I don't think you will be able to see it because I'm not sharing that window, but I have a quick presenter notes popped up as well, and I can actually walk the user through it without those tooltips and guides actually over here. So essentially, what we are really doing here is like letting the user navigate through the product, uh, like your sales rep is able to navigate through the product in this case, and then and you have a presenter notes that is giving you some ideas around like what are the talking points needs to be here as well. So this is a lightweight sandbox where we have stitched them together, but of course it's not a full clone, but this gives you an enough to show and tell in the early demos itself. And if you want some good talking points, and I want to reshare it so that you can see the presenter notes as well, what I'm referring to, because this is in a separate window in a minute. But the presenter notes will also allow you to control what the talking points will be. So I'm going to reshare this real full screen so you will be able to see this. Yeah. So now you will be able to see the presenter nodes that I was talking to. So these are the nodes that show up. So this is again something that your buyers will not see it because you're only sharing that particular specific window. So that's why you couldn't see it before, but now I just reshared it. So in live demo use cases, what you will start seeing is like you will be able to go back and then have this click through, walk them through exactly specific use cases, and have these nodes in a separate window so that as an AE, you have some of the talking points that you want to use as well. Now, this color that you're seeing, it's not fixed. You can control it completely. We're not going into the details about how you can build this and how you can control what colors and what displays needs to be shown, but all of this is definitely configurable there.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I know some people had questions around guided tours versus sandbox. So what they're asking is, which one do you see convert better in the sales motion?
Yes, I think the way you should look at all the demos, there are a few different ways to look at it. There's a guided demos, and then there is like sandboxes. Now the demos with the presenter mode demos, so it can get little, and then there is a hubs as well. So what I would like to maybe I'll just go back here and then show you is I like to think about it. Hopefully you can see the screen here.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So I like to think about these demos itself more like where to use what demos, right? In some framework again. So at very early stage as an awareness, definitely a lot more of guided demos. These are the website demos, lightweight, under 10 to max 15 steps. You want to keep it. So giving the awareness of what your product is doing. And as the interest from your buyer starts increasing, which is where they get into the SDRs or early demo calls, that's where you will start using a bit more personalized demos as well, and then hubs. I'm going to show you after this the hubs as well, what that means. And then you start sharing the hubs with interest levels. Then as they go deeper, excuse me, as they go deeper, that's where you start using the sandbox demos and presenter demos. I showed you a little bit about what a sandbox demo presenter demo is. Like you can show the presenter notes because this is where like they're making decisions, evaluating it. And now when you want to share these demos back, depending on your product, right? If your product is complex and it's a technical buyer, I recommend sharing a little bit more of click through where they can do a sandbox, right? And then as a follow up, if your buyer is more an SMB, less tech savvy, I would recommend using more of a simple guided demos as well, right? Now, hubs is definitely useful if they're not going to make your decision just based on demos, but they need more things beyond demos. So, as a quick example of what a hub could look like, so I'll show you a quick hub here. There you go. So I'm launching a hub here. This is like our own hub. And as an example, a hub is when you share a hub, this is what your buyer receives. And then they get to know, they get to choose what they want to see. So they get to build that experience themselves. So, for example, hey, I want to learn more about demos. I want to learn a bit more about hubs. And I also want to learn about pricing, how your integrations work and everything. So let the user choose. And maybe I want to choose about repex, maybe somewhat important. I'm not ready there. Okay. So the user chooses what they want to learn about it and they continue. So what you will start seeing on the left side is it's built out all of the experiences that you have chosen quickly. Now, this experience gives your buyers an opportunity not just to see one or two demos, but a collection of them along with videos and case studies. So they get a sneak peek of what your product is all about. I highly recommend if your product gets multi-product, right? And let the buyer choose what they're most interested in. So that's important. And then with this interest screen that you saw before, where the user chooses, that data as a rep, you'll get back into your HubSpot or in Salesforce. Now that becomes great way for your conversation to start of what they're really interested in your follow-ups and understanding where the buyer is and how the decision making will work itself there.
Awesome. No, we got some questions there. We also got Rebecca in the house, who is very excited about the SDR use case. So let's jump right into it, keeping an eye out for time. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm an SDR. I live in all of these outbound sequences, cold email, LinkedIn, all of these different channels. So before we kind of get tactical, what is the main way you see SDRs using Storyline?
So you're probably using a tool, Lemless, Smartly. There are a lot of tools out there, or maybe you're running campaigns in HubSpot. The the best, easiest way is so I'm going to go and open a quick Lemless here. So let's say I have a Lemlist. This is open. So I'm running a campaign. So let's wait for it to load. And then I'm going to set up a campaign. And in that campaign, and here's an example of a campaign email sequence that I'm going to send it out. So here you can see, hey, it was on your site XYZ. You have that email template, but keep in mind the buyers are not. It's incredibly hard, right, to get a response back today from people when you are reaching out to them. So two things happens, right? They want to understand what your product is doing, or they want to actually talk to a chat agent quickly before actually getting on a call and committing for like full 30-40 minutes of a demo with a sales rep. So this is what the driving factor is. Now, the best and easiest way is inside your sequence, you can insert a couple of things. One, here is a template email, and I want to pull in my demo and insert it. So again, like the way I showed before, so you would simply open the extension, easiest way to do it. Hey, I'm reaching out to a CRO, and then and I want to probably go ahead and create a link and then put it in Lemlist. So I'm going to click on this, and you can see this option, outbound. So you can go ahead and choose outbound, and you are on Lemlist. So I'm going to choose Lemlist over here. We support many of these platforms where automatically the links are customized to track who's clicking on it. Now, I want to probably put a GIF over here. I copy the GIF, and all I do is like paste the GIF over here. So you can see the demo is inserted inside. So anybody clicking on this from here, we will know exactly who clicked on this after they opened the email. So now, as an SDR, you get to know exactly what the interest level is. And it's not just SDR, it can be like an AE doing outbound prospecting, it can be anyone. But now you know exactly who clicked on it, who engaged with it. Now, this data comes into your CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, wherever your system of record is, you get those analytics there. Now you have a scoring mechanism, you know what the intent is. Now you can retarget this particular user. Maybe as a next follow-up, hey, I know you spoke to them. Maybe you're not ready for a call. And well, we were sending repex. So which means you can also send repex. Repex is, again, where without a salesperson, you can actually have the conversation and understand what your product is. So that's another way, because outbound is harder. to get the responses. So this is another way where you can start inserting them as well quickly to show the product.
And I think around the SDR use case specifically, I know we often have best practices for each different persona, but what do you recommend in terms of the length of the demo when you're sending it out to like a cold prospect?
Great. I think I would go back into this. This is creating awareness, right? What we are trying to do here is creating awareness as an SDR because they have absolutely no idea what your product will be doing. It's cold. So awareness stage, definitely recommend guided demos or send an agent like a repex to have them talk to it, right? The demos have to be shorter, 10 to 12 steps. You want to give them grab the attention. You want to take your buyer through that funnel, right? Give them a sneak peek of what it is, then get them into like, hey, they're interested, push them through it. Then they're going to come down into evaluation and decision making. So always on the top, start with a very small set of steps.
Perfect. Okay. Next, we are going to move into Storylane for enablement and sales leaders. So, yeah, what's the main way you see someone in more of that leadership role getting the most value out of Storyline?
Yeah, great. So as a leader, what happens is like, hey, my team is sending all these demos. My reps are sharing all of these demos, and you want to start looking at the metrics. So there are few ways in which you can build out the metrics. I want to show first is like how you can build this out in your Salesforce report itself, or how you can build this in your HubSpot. So the metrics comes down to like finally we are all looking for like how it's impacting the deals and how many deals are getting closed as well. So I'm going to pull this out a couple of reports over here. So what you will see here is like I'm going to pull this HubSpot report. So again, by the way, these reports, if you do need help in setting up reports for your team right now, I think you should definitely reach out to our CSM, and we're going to pop up a link as well for setting up a time with our integration specialist. So these reports, we can set this up for you. But now going back to what this report does. So these are reports that gives you, because all the data gets pushed into your CRM, be it HubSpot or Salesforce. Now, this report will give you an information about, like, let's pick something. Hey, what is the average time to close a deal, which had a high demo interaction, which had a very not so high, like a medium interaction, and who did not interact at all. So now you will be able to track metrics like this, right? It's 60 days, 45 days, 30 days, right? So now you're able to see like anybody who interact with the demo, we are reducing time by 25% easily. Now, metrics like this is what we will be able to set it up, and you can set it up inside your HubSpot itself, and also understand like, hey, how many of my contacts actually, and what is the volume of deal that was impacted by the deals. So again, you can get that data, you can set those up as well. And similarly, like you can pull in information about like how many of them did not interact as well over here. So these are the contacts that did not interact. And then you want to get to know like exactly which demos are performing better. You can understand which demos are performing better, and understand a little bit more about like what's the impact on that demo with the deal itself, right? So you will be able to measure those, or which are the hubs that are performing better similarly. And lastly, like you can know which reps are performing, right? So as I have a team of 10 reps, who is actually sending these demos, who is sending these links, and how many of them that they're sending, and how many of those deals have closed, and what's the dollar impact as well. So now all of these reports can be built out, be it in HubSpot, and similar one that we have it for Salesforce as well over here, where you can build these reports and have it. So as a sales leader, this is probably what you're going to be looking at and understanding how the impact is and how the performance is itself. So two things I'll also call out here is we probably it's already there in your workspace today. We are rolling this out as well. So inside Storylane itself, you will be able to see one is building the reports in HubSpot. That's very comprehensive, where your sales enablement and ops will be there. But within inside Storylane, you can go to user activity today and understand across the board how everybody, which is your sales team, is performing, how many links they shared, each of these, how many views it got, how many accounts we reached, how many leads we generated, how much leads we impacted. And then you get those stats pretty quickly here. The second thing is inside Storylane, you also will be able to see deals soon. So deals will give you exactly all the demos, what the intent looks like, Here is the deal, here's the amount, how many times they viewed it, who are the stakeholders, who is the rep, and what's the impact looks like. For example, the demo influence pipeline over here will tell you a little bit more about like how much of my pipeline is impacted by demos exactly, right? So you will get those data as well quickly. So again, some of them will be within the platform, and reports are going to be more exhaustive in terms of how we will set this up as well.
Perfect. And I think maybe this next question came from a sales leader that is looking at some of these dashboards and he's saying, some of my reps are using Storylane, some are not. What actually, yeah, separates the teams that get Storylane adopted from the ones where it stalls?
Yeah, so I think little way of philosophical answer for that would be I think it's best to model your top reps here. So maybe a session how your top AE, top rep is performing and how they are modeling and how they're sharing the demos as well. So a session from them to drive other reps to use it will be great. So internally, how do you get other reps to use it? That's one way. There are two parts, right? One is the human side of things, how you can teach them about it, model based on the top performing rep. The second, I think what I showed you is like the rep activity deals dashboard kind of gives you a sense of like how each one is performing. And within this dashboard, you'll know exactly which of these reps are performing. And again, or you go into Storylane, and then you'll basically go ahead and see like the rep activity over here. So this is, think of it like a leaderboard in some ways. So understand how each one is performing. Now you can say, hey, why is it working very well for one of the reps, whereas the other rep is not performing? Ashley is doing great, whereas like Nicole is like only sent 10, right? So you can try to uh, you'll have the data, and then you kind of impart that through multiple sessions internally and then enable them to do it.
Yeah, one of the best tips I've heard from a couple of product marketers is that before they used to actually go up and do these enablement sessions themselves, but they realized, hey, as a marketer, I might not have as much credibility with sales. So they actually started taking some of these top reps, like let's say Jordan here, that's very successful, and having them present it to their sales team. There's something about having that top rep talk about how they're using it, how they've won deals, that often leads to a lot of adoption across the sales team. So that's another tip that I would recommend as well. Okay, moving right along. So this one comes from, yeah, somebody that folks that have an enterprise sales team, right? So selling complex deals to multiple stakeholders. What does a winning Storylane setup look like for that motion?
So I think it's all of the what we talked today. So in a lot of ways, right? So a winning
Yeah.
setup looks, I think for me is, I think I'll go back to that slide what I put. Having first thing most is like having a framework like this, right? Uh, Once you have a framework like this, then the adoption within your enterprise sales motion becomes a lot more easy. You know exactly how it is being streamlined. So first and foremost is having a framework like that. Number one, I would say, and then following through in all the different stages, right? Be it from your either from your website or an SDR, doing it from prospecting side, A is using them before and after, and do a quick show and tell demos where they can use it in the more templated ways. And that's basically where the biggest value will be. And of course, SE is preparing these demos, right? Having different demo templates and sharing them, enabling them across all the teams. So it kind of sums up everything we talked about it. And then that's basically how you're going to enable it. I would go back and say like the framework becomes super important. Without the framework, it becomes more and more like, hey, I built a demo and this AE didn't use it right, or XYZ person did not use it right. So once you have a framework, you know exactly how different types of demos needs to be used in different scenarios. So I would definitely start with that.
Awesome. Um, so maybe this is someone that's an earlier customer, but what would you say is the single best leading indicator you've seen from customers that tells you Storylane is working before you're actually seeing any pipeline impact?
Wow. Okay. Absolutely. So I think pipeline impact, we talked about it. That's the given, right? So in terms of once you start adopting and using it, there's always a pipeline impact that you're seeing that's measurable. The biggest thing that I see is like over and over is like it's more than the pipeline impact. Uh, People see value in terms of building the demos itself, because it's today the buyers want to see it. Your product is changing faster, buyers want to see what it is. There is always going to be 10 different competitors that they want to look at always. So the more you tell the product story about what your product is to your buyers throughout their journey, right from the website all the way till the deal gets closed, or involving multiple stakeholders, means like creating these assets quickly and sharing with them. So the time to educate the buyer is also coming down quite a lot. So you need something that will spin up things faster. That's one thing that we focus a lot on. How do you build these demos faster and then quickly, and then you can share these things very efficiently as well. Time saving is the biggest thing I see it, like big difference. Let's say you have to use this through an agency or some demo experts who build these demos. It's a lot of time, that commitment. So now instead of spending that much cost and money, you're able to save time as well there. Apart from pipeline impact, that's one thing that I see a lot more. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I know we had a lot to get through there. We're at time, but for those of you that are staying on, definitely want to open it up to Q&A. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. Use the Q&A tab, whatever is easiest for you all. But I know one of the things that people were curious about is a little bit more around the product roadmap. So if you could share something there, Nolan, that would be great once we're queuing up some questions there.
Yep, 100%. So I think I mentioned this in the beginning. So we look at roadmap as more like things are going incredibly fast. I mean, like you can look at like OpenAI or Anthropic, the speed in which they're helping us to build things is incredible. So we started rethinking roadmap and not like, hey, nobody is going to go and say predict for next 12-month roadmap. We look at every 2 months, what we are shipping. So what we are building that is impactful for you all. So we look at it more like every 2 months and what we are shipping, releasing every week in that way, right? So I will give you a little quick sneak peek of what's coming in the next 2 months so that you have an idea of what we're building. And things change incredibly fast. So we want to be very nimble around it so that we are able to adapt to it, so that we keep updating our roadmap constantly. And getting this session is great to get that feedback, and you will start seeing that getting into the roadmap itself. So I'm going to share my screen again and then quickly show you a bit of the roadmap. There you go. So firstly, before getting into the roadmap, I know just a few weeks back we launched RepX as well. That's something that I would say you all should try it out as well. And we have a first design partner who launched it, Hospitable, uh, like few days back. So you can go talk to Open Hospi, and that will give you an opportunity to talk to what RepX will do as well. Again, so we released that few weeks back, and we are going to constantly make improvements around this, and then we are working with a few more design partners as well. Few customers are going live with this as well. Now that's one. Now, if I go back into my roadmap, I'm going to jump straight into like talk about like, hey, what are we building in April and May, so that you have an idea of what's coming out in April and May. So, firstly, in no sequence of order, right? Uh, I showed a bit of V2 editor that's going to have a lot more video editing, lot more guide types, lot more of demo building experience different. So that's something that we have started already giving to a lot of our customers, and that you will start seeing this in the next 2 weeks rollout. If you need access, just let your CSM know. We will enable it right away for you so that you can start seeing those the new V2 editor. Next, AI demo builder is basically we are launching how you can take a video, convert to a demo, how you can put a Figma file, convert to a demo, or just bunch of images or slide decks. Doesn't matter. So this all will convert to demo. Again, I talked about the speed to value because of how incredible it is to build these things and share it to buyers is important. So AI demo builder, we already have some of those things already out, but we are adding more in terms of like we already have this in beta. So again, if you need access to AI demo builder, let us know. So we have few things that's in beta, so we can start giving you access as well. Deal intelligence, I showed a little bit about how within the product itself, you will start seeing the deals, the impact, and you will start seeing rep usage and everything. So some of you, again, the ones you see in the orange, this is all in beta right now. We're rolling it out. So if you need access to any of this, so we should be able to give you access as well right now. Few other things I'll call out here that's coming out. Of course, you saw the HTML editing completely. New HTML editing that I showed to you. That's going to be there as part of the how you edit, modify demos itself. That's part of the demo builder, which I was showing you in a bit. LLM embeds. So you want your demos, I mean, this is more top of the funnel. we are working on the marketing side where like, hey, I embed my demos. Can these demos be queried on LLMs? Can they be surfaced? Can somebody ask a question in ChatGPT and get a response because these demos talk about the product specific? That's exactly what we're trying to solve here, and make your demos be searchable in LLM as well. So that top of the funnel, some of your product questions, that's what buyers ask, right? So they go deeper, ask questions. So can we surface some of the product demos and answer those questions? So that you will see it here. Again, going back into a lot of AI building here, AI hub building. How do I build these hubs? Building hubs is pretty quick in terms of like bringing together, but now can I just prompt it and build the entire hub for me for different personas? So again, pulling your PDFs and everything together. So you will see AI demo builder and hub builder is going to be, and or demo editing is something that will be like in we'll be releasing this in April itself. Multi-language support. I have a demo, but I want to support like 20 different languages. So can we detect what the browser user is in? And can you automatically serve the right demos based on the language and add the right captions? That's what we are building there. And then collaboration. So, hey, I have my 5 people building these demos across different teams. Can I add comments? Can I collaborate with them? Also, I share these demos to buyer. Can they leave feedback? And then, so we are trying to build that loop where you as a demo builder can collaborate among themselves, but also when your prospects are looking at these demos, can provide them as feedback. So as a seller, you are able to have a way to collaborate with them as well. And overall demo experience itself, so that it doesn't look more and more like I'm learning a product, but we want to build that experience a little better. So we are adding tons of things around like experience itself. So again, this is not something for next 12 months. This is next 2 months, just to be clear, right? It's only April, May, what we're releasing. Of course, there are a lot of small things we constantly ship, but this is how we're looking at it, like in April, May, in the next 2 months, how we're shipping it up.
Amazing. So there you have it, folks. You have a little bit of an insight into what we're looking to ship over the next 2 months. And I know Nolan wanted to show this to hold us accountable. So yeah, keep an eye out for some of those things there. As I mean, we still have some time here, and I know we got some questions coming in. I see one from you, Edgar. We'll get to in just a sec. We do have a poll here that because we're aiming to make this a 3-part series. We want to make it as focused as possible for what you all want to learn more about. So yeah, if we could launch that poll, Ranga, about what would you want to go deeper in terms of part 2. So yeah, I think you have to navigate to the poll section on the right side of your screen, but we have the RepX deep dive and learn more about the dashboard there, hubs, how to build and manage hubs for sales, and then the marketing use case, right? Interactive demos for campaigns and websites. So let us know where you'd want to go a little bit deeper in terms of the next session. Okay, so to go to Edgar's question here to start, is model context protocol something you'd be open to in the future?
Yes, 100%. So when we're building this in the next 2 months with a lot of AI building, 100%, we will be open to it, and let us know, reach out to me, and we are already trying out a few things and with MCP, and we will be doing that.
Okay, amazing.
Simple question. Yes, we're doing it.
And I don't know if we saw another one come in. Looks like Maxwell's excited about Figma integrations as well. Cool. Okay.
So by the way, just to Figma integration, we do have a plugin today, so you can try the Figma plugin. But again, but you will open a Figma plugin of Storylane to build the demos or to import all the data inside as well. So with the AI Figma, what it happens is like you don't have to do even like building demos. It creates one for you. That's the key for us.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, Mindy actually gave some great feedback here. And yeah, she's like, it wasn't an option in the pool, but Storylane for customer product training. Would like to see how we use Storylane more of that. Okay. And then Justin asks, did you say yes, you'll be offering an AI presenter that will host demos with customers? I think he's referring to RepX, but
might be, yeah, RepX, yeah.
Yeah, Justin, that's something that we just launched a couple of weeks ago. So you see it on our website. We do have a couple of design partners of customers doing that, but yeah, that's one of the future, well, the futures now, products that we have here at Storylane, right? How do we take all of the things that you're already using in Storylane, interactive demos? We can feed it top sales reps transcripts, and the idea is that yeah, it can start to handle those inbound requests and qualify. Um, okay, yeah, and he continues to ask, is that full conversational RepX? Can it take a customer A to Z through the demo?
Not today. So what it does is top of the funnel, educating them with different assets, more a discovery and qualifying them. Our plan is to take this further in, like, think about like it's focused repex on awareness today, like what I talked about, awareness, engaging them, not through the full evaluation at that point. So believe like there's a human salesperson that's going to be involved, and as he's going to be involved there at that stage, it will be assisting them as we push repex down in that funnel. But repex focused a lot more on top, but it's going to be what we're building later in this year is going to be repex more, how it's going to help during evaluation, during live calls as well. So you will hear more on repex updates in the separate session. What we will plan to do is like what's coming in the repex as well. So that will give you that idea. Definitely, we're going to do that too.
Yeah. No, awesome questions, Justin. And I know maybe Edgar can expand a little bit more, but he said would be super cool to have a more robust version control system on building demos, especially for HTML sandbox demos.
The version controls. I
Yeah.
think what they're asking around is, if my understanding is right. So I think it's going to be version controls. So two things coming. One, I think which I gave you a sneak peek around is like how you edit sandboxes, how you manage this is going to be a lot more with a interactive, like a chat, how you're going to prompt it. I showed you a little bit around it very early on, but that is going to change completely how you are going to manage your bunch of demo screens itself for your sales use cases. Now, that's one. The second is we are building out the versioning with the multi-language support and everything versioning so that you are able to go back to your older versions as well if needed. But it's just not right in this month, April or early into the May. So, but that's something, it's in the roadmap. We're focused on building some of the things we showed now the next 45 days. But share that feedback. We change priorities quickly. We keep building more things as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So hopefully he answered that. Yeah, I think he said regarding change logs and quickly reverting edits. So yeah, we'll have that. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Michael, for joining. You're always helping us think about these new ideas, and I love how he's been able to use it in sales and product marketing, solutions engineering. So he's been our main persona across the same company, which is pretty cool. Awesome, folks. No, thank you so much for Nolan, for the team for putting this together. This was the first time we've ever done this. So yeah, would welcome your feedback. Thank you for the poll results. Looks like people are very interested in hubs, how to build hubs, and then more around the marketing use case. So yeah, maybe that's probably what we'll go deeper into for part 2. And we can also share how marketing is actually using the hubs product as well, how a lot of our customers are doing that. So yeah, otherwise, thank you all so much. This was a great first session, and we'll be looking to do that second session probably sometime in the beginning of May, but you'll definitely hear from us when we have that next one scheduled.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, it was great. And then looking forward to the next session as well.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.